This here in yellow is the flexible widget in Flutter. The beauty of the flexible widget is that it adapts to the available space. This is an excellent widget, but it can cause a lot of errors and headaches if it is used incorrectly. And so the purpose of this tutorial is to show you how to use this widget correctly so that you get the results you're looking for. This is the FlutterCoach, and without further ado, let's dive in. To show you the special ability of the flexible widget, I'm going to replace the flexible widget with a simple container. Let's go to the code. And in my code, I have a basic app. This is the default code that gets created when you create a new Flutter project. And inside the body of the scaffold, I have a row. And inside the row, I have a container, a flexible widget, which has our text, and a container at the end of the row, which is what I have just shown you, this right here. Now we'll go ahead and replace flexible with container, then rebuild this. You can see that it looks the same, but when I reduce the space available, we get an error with the container widget. And when we come to the terminal, view terminal, and go to the debug console, we can see that we have an error that occurred. And so since the container is not flexible like the flexible widget is, it cannot adapt to the changing space available. And so that's the special ability of the flexible. Let's change this back to flexible, rebuild, and you can see just how well the flexible widget is able to handle a limitation of space. Something you need to be careful about when using the flexible widget, and in my opinion, this is what causes a lot of headache, is that the flexible widget must be a child of either a row, a column, or a flex. To learn more about the row widget, check out my row video, which should be popping up on a card right now. And to learn more about the column widget, check out my column video, which should be popping up on a card right now. A flex widget, in case you are not aware, is a widget that lays out its children in a direction that you specify, which means that a row is a flex which lays out its children horizontally, while a column is a flex which lays out its children vertically. Keep in mind that the flex widget and the flexible widget are two completely different widgets. We've already seen what the flexible widget looks like and how it behaves inside a row. Let's now put it in a column and see how it behaves. I'll go ahead and replace this with column. And for this, I'd like to add some more text or use a longer line of text for better demonstration. Let's go ahead and rebuild this. And now we have a vertical layout. And what happens when I reduce the space available is, as you can see, the flexible widget adapts to that. Let's now put our flexible inside a flex widget. The flex widget needs a direction property. Let's make this a horizontal flex. Let's rebuild, and this is simply a row because this is a flex whose direction is horizontal. And you can see what happens when we change the space available. Let's change it to a vertical flex and rebuild this. And now it is a column. When we reduce the space available, it adapts to the available space. Let's say you want to have more than one flexible widget inside your row or inside your column or inside your flex. Let's put two flexible widgets inside a row and see what happens. So we'll change this from flex to row, get rid of the direction property, which is not needed by the row, and then use a shorter sentence. Now we're going to copy and paste this flexible widget into this row and change its color. Let's give it a light blue color and let's rebuild. And now we have our two flexibles in the row. And what happens is when there is a space limitation, they share the available space between them. And when there's more than enough space, well, they are satisfied taking the amount of space that they need for their children. Are you enjoying this video so far? Please consider liking it and subscribing to this channel. Let's go on. There's a property of the flexible widget, which we can see by holding down Control and space. And this property is called flex. This property is similar to the flex property of the expanded widget. If you need to learn more about the expanded widget, be sure to check out my video on the expanded widget, which should be showing up on a card right about now. But it's the same property. And what flex does is it allows you to decide how the available space is going to be distributed between your 2 or more flexible widgets. Let's go ahead and assign flex values to these flexibles. If you hover over the word flex, you can see that it takes an integer and the default value is 1. For our flexibles, I'd like us to have the first one being twice as big as the second one at all times. So in the code, we'll assign a value of 2 to this first flexible and a value of 1 to the second flexible. Let's rebuild this. And now we can see when we resize the window that the first flexible is twice as big as the second one. Now, something to note is that when you have more than enough space available, then both flexibles take as much space as they need. But if you have a space constraint, if you have limited space, then they're going to follow the flex that you have assigned to each of them. The flexible widget has another property, which we can see again by holding down Control and space, and this is known as fit. If we hover over fit, we can see that it takes a flex fit as the input. Now we have two options, either loose or tight. I'll use this window to demonstrate what the fit property does. As we've seen, if we have more than enough space available, then our flexible widgets are satisfied with the space that they take up for their children. But if we want to make sure that at all times, like in our example, this first widget is twice as big as the second one, always, doesn't matter whether it has enough space for its children or not, then that's where you use the fit property. Now, if I assign tight to this first one, that's exactly what happens. Let's rebuild and see. You can see that this first widget is twice as big as the second one, despite the fact that it does not need this extra space. Now, if I assign loose and rebuild, you can see that it is satisfied with the space that it needs for its child. So loose simply means that it will only follow the flex properties that you've assigned if there is a limitation on the available space. But if you have more than enough space, then the flexible widget is satisfied with the space that it needs for its child. And that's it about the flexible widget. I hope you have fun with this widget while building your app. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments below and I'll be sure to help you out. If you have any other kind of comments, please drop them in the comment section as well. And if you have found value in this video, please do consider liking it and subscribing to this channel. This has been the FlutterCoach. I will see you in the next one.